Welcome into another episode of the Dynasty Dogs podcast. That is my dog's favorite podcast. I know I fucked that up a little bit, but we continue on. I am your host for this evening, Michael Anthony. You can find me on X at Dynasty Dog Mike. Alongside me, back in the saddle, the vintage man himself, Rich McAteer. You can follow him at Dynasty Dog Rich. How are you, Rich?
Oh, I'm doing splendid. It's the weekend. We made it. We made it.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
I thought I was going to die midweek, honestly.
Why? Just hot?
It's too hot out there.
Yeah,
busy. A lot of work. Busy week.
Busy week. All right, so tonight we're going to do another edition of the Dynasty Dog Duel. We have 4 spots left on our rosters. We're going to be opening 2 packs, just in case, we can't find any more cards.
Just in case I don't walk into Target at the same time as the lady that's stocking the shelves with cards. That was like a 1 in a million. Would never happen again. Right. I walk by, I'm like, would you look at that? Just loading up the shelf, and I'm just like, yes.
And then we are going to get into our second to last division breakdown of our dog tags and Doghouse. Tonight we're going to be doing the AFC North, the North remembers. And then next week we are going to be doing the NFC East, our Philadelphia Eagles own NFC East. But tonight, Richard, before we get into a little bit of news and notes, I watched a movie this week, and I want to ask you.
X-rated?
No, actually, PG.
I watched 2 movies this week.
Yeah. I want to ask you, what is your favorite sports movie? And then I'll give you mine because what I watched, and it's my favorite. So I just want to hear what yours is first.
I gotta think. Probably, dude. I know it incidentally ruined baseball, but I love Moneyball. Moneyball and Trouble with the Curve are 2 really good baseball movies that are up there for me.
Solid. I like Moneyball. I never saw the other one.
Let's go with Clint Eastwood's in it.
Clint Eastwood.
Trouble with the Curve, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's about pretty much he's a scout and he's getting older, so he's having trouble seeing. I think he's having trouble seeing, so he has to listen for the sounds of the pitches and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that's the way it goes. He doesn't go blind, but his vision is pretty shitty by the end.
What's the movie where the kid breaks his arm and all of a sudden is able to throw 90,000 miles an hour?
Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
Rosenbaga.
Yeah. That's not my favorite sports movie. My favorite sports movie is, and I'll give you my second favorite since you gave us 2. Remember the Titans? I watched that movie for the first time in quite some time, to be honest with you. I haven't watched it in a little bit.
And you want to say the first time ever?
What's that?
I thought you were going to say the first time ever. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
It's just been some time since I watched that, and I just forgot how good that movie actually is.
Yeah.
That is my favorite sports movie. And my second favorite, and maybe I'll watch that tonight since it's from the same genre, Muddy Ducks.
Muddy Ducks
are one of my favorites, too.
Which one? 1, 2?
The first one and the second one are both really, really good.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is all coming back to me. Did you watch Daredevil, the series on?
Yeah, what's his name is in it? One of the Bash brothers.
Yeah, exactly. And I never knew that. I was watching. I was rewatching it the other day. I was like, holy shit, that's Foggy from Daredevil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. Well, speaking of Disney, last thing, did you see I know, now I'm going off on fucking Disney.
Tailspin, dude.
Yeah. This is what happened. The Mufasa trailer.
Yeah, what a douche Mufasa is, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this whole time for 30 years, we're like, oh, dude, Scar's a dickhead. He's trying to he killed him. And all of a sudden, this motherfucker, number 1, had a different name. You just called him Scar, got a scratch on his damn face. 2, he saved you from a river, and then you go steal all his shit. You stole all of his damn shit. And he's the bad guy? I don't know. I don't know if I like this backstory.
Disney got some explaining to do on this one.
How 30 years of, man, what a fucking asshole that guy is. And then Mufasa's like,
whoops.
Whoops. Sorry I stole your family and then became an orphan, or I was an orphan, stole your family, and then became the king. He's like, oh, fuck me, right?
Yeah, I actually really want to see that, though. I think some of the the Lion King,
absolutely.
Lion King live action was actually not that bad. I thought it was okay. I mean,
was
as
it was
live action that movie could be. Like, it's not live
yeah,
action, obviously. They,
it was
you know,
good. Besides like the unnecessary like Beyonce part, which was like they had to have her sing for some reason because it's Beyonce. Like didn't really fit the movie, but
well, she sang in the cartoon too, the original cartoon.
yeah, but it was like they kind of like put her out there because it was Beyonce. I'm just like, oh,
I get what you're saying. Like, she overdid it compared to
yeah,
everybody else. She's an
yeah,
actual like
hmm
um, singer, so I get what you're saying. Okay.
right.
All right, so let's do the Dynasty Dog Duel first. Let me share that screen with you real quick. I actually have it up and ready to go this time.
Oh,
Uh,
look at you.
I know, prepared. And I will let
Oopsies.
you start
Dude,
us
I
off.
went first last time. I think I
Oh,
went
did
first
you?
last time.
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
so.
Relax.
I gotta see. I gotta get my microscope out because it's like written in like Times New Roman 3.5.
What the fuck? Okay. Well, we have the Rich McAteer special, the Aiden O'Connell.
Oh, there he is.
We have a
Melly
Kalijah Kancey.
Kalika.
Yeah. Defensive tackle from the Tampa Bay Bucks. This looks like a nice card. These two cards are nice. This Jackson Smith Najigba right here. Look at
Oh well,
that.
we know who you're taking.
Somebody took a chunk out of that one.
Oh yeah, that's the die cut.
Is it? Because that's what the
Mm-hmm.
Cansey one is too. And then we have a Brian Breesy defensive tackle from the New Orleans Saints. So I don't have a whole lot of choices here. So I'm going to go with JSN, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Like, I have to, because there's only
yeah.
4 cards in
Much.
this pack. Richard, while before you open yours, explain what this pack is, because that's actually something I forgot to ask you.
Oh yeah, it's Panini Select
Mm-hmm.
2023. It looked like a pretty decent box. I did open one of the hanger packs, and I got a
Mm-hmm.
die cut CJ Stroud, which is going for like $100 on eBay right now. It's a pretty decent card. You can get some autos, but who
I
knows
wonder
if we
what this
actually will.
JSN one is. Is worth anything?
Is it? Does it say? Is it his rookie?
I mean, he was
Yeah,
a
right.
rookie. Like,
Yeah.
we'll have to take a look at that when we're done here, because that's going to
Take a
take me a
gander.
while. Go ahead and open your first pack. I added JSN to the board.
Oh
He's
boy.
on my bench. And again, this will be best ball strategy. If JSN happens to outproduce Jalen Waddle, he will take his spot.
See. Okay. Okay. So I got Atajay Spears.
That's a good one. Nice.
Tank Dell.
Okay. There's a nice one.
Now we're heating up. Oh, now we're really heating up. We got Mark Andrews. And we've got Brees Hall.
I like how I got fucking all defensive players, and you get the entire offensive pack.
So let's see. It has to be. Who do I have in wide receivers? All right, I have way too many wide receivers down there. I'm going with Mr. Brees Lightning, Brees Hall.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
kind
have
of
two
have
running backs right now.
Yeah.
All right, we'll throw Brees Hall on there.
Nice.
Not
Like that.
It's a nice card.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Panini Selects. It's a good.
Yeah,
good
I like
product.
the way they look.
This is the first like football I've opened. I've opened the basketball of them.
Let's see if this pack is a little bit more offensive heavy for me here. I mean, I like the JSN card, and I like JSN to pick, obviously, but it just, you literally had like several choices you could have made. I had one.
You had Aiden O'Connell.
First of
Nelly.
all, before we have Will Levis.
Nice.
I'll give you the good one last. We have Myles Garrett.
Okay.
We have Scary Terry himself, Terry McLaurin, which I think major breakout season come. Well, I mean, he's 28 years old. He's been very solid, but major season coming for Terry. And would you look at that? Puka Nacua, certified.
There you go. That's nice.
Select certified. Is that good?
Nice. Yeah, it's an insert.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but we're going to take Puka Nacua here.
Yeah, you need more wide receivers there, bud.
Do I? Let me see. Hold on. Before I spell this out. Okay. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 wide receivers to go along with my 1, 2, 3 running backs. Actually, I need another running back.
We need a tight end, dude.
I have two.
Do you?
Oh wait, you didn't take
d-
Mark Andrews. Good, because I have Mark
No.
Andrews already.
Alrighty. Getting into it here. We've got George Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have Mr. Pickens?
No.
We have a name that I cannot pronounce. Foye Aluku.
Oluwakan. Yeah,
Sure.
linebacker from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jalen
Very good
Jones.
IDP. Jalen
Oh,
Jones,
okay.
the corner.
Yep. And Tyreek Hill. So the only option here is George Pickens.
You're not taking Tyreek Hill? Oh, you
I
already
have
have him.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, you do. Oh, so look at that.
Come on.
I almost just gave you George instead of George Pickens. That would have been interesting. All right, so we are down to our last two spots. Rich, you still have a flex open, which I mean, I could have really just put anyone in there for you. I
Yeah,
don't know
you could.
why.
I mean, put Tyreek Hill or Amon Ra in there
Yeah, true. I
as I
could
rip
just
open.
do that, right? All right, so we are down to our last two spots on our bench. We have a team of Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Dalton Kincaid, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Joe Burrow, Tyreek Hill, Christian Watson, Breece Hall, George Pickens. That is Richard's team. We have a team of Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews, Bijan Robinson, Patrick Mahomes, CeeDee Lamb, Travis Kelce, JSN, Puka Nakua.
Teams are
We
looking
are
stacked.
getting down to a real star-studded
Yeah.
matchup here. Part of me wants to open another pack and
Oh,
just
dude,
go one more pack.
I'm already opening them, dude.
All right, did you
I'm
open
already
one?
opening them under the table. Yeah.
You scum. All right, tell us who you got and make a pick out of it since you opened them already.
Oh, dude, wasn't ready for that.
Okay, open another one then, and then I'll open another one.
Hold on. All right, I was gonna say, I got one. Demario Douglas. What's his name? Mozzie Smith.
The
Travis
defensive tackle
Etienne.
for
Yeah.
the Cowboys.
And then Bijan, but you have Bijan, you bastard. You want me to pick someone out of this?
No, you could open another one. I want to see you open it.
Okay.
I'm like a parent on Christmas. What you get, even though I wrapped it.
Ooh, Keaton Mitchell.
Keaton Mitchell, running back, Baltimore Ravens.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
I have him already.
Corby Turner. And Trevor Lawrence. So
You gonna give yourself a third quarterback here?
That's the only way I can. That's the only thing I can do.
Yeah. You shouldn't have kept opening them. We could have stayed away from this. Trevor Lawrence is now added to your roster.
Jesus.
I mean, hey, Joe Burrow hasn't really stayed healthy, so you never know.
No.
Let's see. Let's open my last pack since we are opening 3 packs tonight. I get a Baker Mayfield.
Noise.
Who the hell is this? Blake Groupie.
Oh yeah, him.
Yeah. Tank Dell.
Nice.
It's a nice card. And a CeeDee Lamb. Well, I already have CeeDee Lamb, and I really only have one option here, and that'll be Tank Dell.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Dell.
Is that his real name, Nathaniel?
Yeah, and his real name's Nathaniel Dell, yeah.
I would go by Tank too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool name and fitting for him. Well, that is it for that. We even opened up an extra pack, unpromptu, as they say. Richard gets a little too excited, a little too spicy for the pepper sometimes. So let's get into our news and notes, and then we will get into our dog tags and doghouse. Richard, we had football last night. Our Philadelphia Eagles took on the New England Patriots with a win of 14-3. Real barn burner of a matchup going on.
Destroyed them.
It wasn't really a destroying.
No.
The Eagles basically played no starters. The Patriots did, and I will tell you, I think they need to start Drake May at this point.
You're pronouncing Joe Milton wrong.
I think they need to start him as early as possible. I wouldn't say week 1, maybe 3 at first. I was thinking maybe like 6, 6 or 8 for Drake May to
Hmm.
start, or maybe even sit the whole season behind Jacoby. But Jacoby has not looked good.
No, he looked like shit last night.
That interception to Avante Maddox was
It was like
atrocious.
it was like dropped right into his hands perfectly. It was
Yeah,
like, "Ooh."
exactly. But Drake May, I'll tell you what, he looked pretty good. I was impressed with him. There were a few throws that I liked and that I didn't like. Obviously, that drop ball by Javon Baker deep hurt my soul a little bit. Um,
As an Eagles
then,
fan, I understand.
yeah. Uh, and then the one throw I didn't like at all was another one to Javon Baker. He double pumped it and he
Hmm.
threw it off the mark. It was way off in between two defenders. Javon got pancaked almost, and it was just a bad decision, bad throw.
Yeah.
Um, Javon Baker and Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk, um, very confusing. What's the word? Usage last night in regards to like his
Hmm.
his amount of snaps he took. He was almost at like 2 with the starters, and they shouldn't be trotting out Tyquan Thornton and KJ Osborne over this guy. He was a second round pick. You might as well get him out there, get him reps with the starters.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Um, besides a drop from Baker, he had 42% of Drake May's targets, which is extremely high, which is promising. Um, we had, before I get into the good thing about the Eagles, the bad thing with the Eagles is Kenny Pickett sucks. Like, we know
Yeah. He
that.
doesn't look good.
We know he
He was like
sucks.
he was 11 for 13, but like didn't look good.
He threw 60 yards and 11
I know.
completions,
Yeah, I know. It's like
which is
what the
insane.
like if you just read 11 for 13, I'm like, oh, that's pretty good, and it's like 60 yards. I'm like, what? What are you throwing them like fucking two at a time?
Dump offs the whole time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all he was
Right.
doing. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Like Tanner McKee, say what you want, looked decent against like third, fourth stringers, which is
Yeah.
whatever. But like,
That's what I was gonna say. He was going against third string, defenses. It's not anything. It's like, oh my god, I'm not clamoring for this guy. You know what I mean?
but he looks better than Kenny Pickett
Yeah.
does, to be honest.
Sure.
There were a few throws that impressed me. There was one along the sideline to Nada that was nice by Tanner
I
McKee.
do. Yeah, the one that they called pass interference and then took it
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
that was a
I
nice one. He
like
actually looked solid.
Hilnada. Yeah, dude, I've liked him for. I think this is like his second or third year. Is he from? Is he from Georgia?
I
Joseph
think
got something like that. But he was decent last year. I thought he was going to make the team last year. He looked really good in preseason and went to the practice squad. I think with the third wide receiver open, he might be like lower on the list and keeps getting lower just because of the guys they're drafting. But John Ross went down last night. I think Johnny Wilson went down last night.
he
Paris
stinks
Campbell didn't
too.
play. Who?
Johnny Wilson, Ross, he does not
Yeah.
look well. I
No.
mean, again, he's getting passes from Kenny Pickett, so how much can you actually blame
Right.
him?
Right.
But Johnny Wilson, they didn't say anything until like at the game. Like I didn't hear anything, and then they were like he didn't play because of a concussion. Like when did the fuck did that
Yeah.
happen?
Did he like fall or something? Hit his
Yeah,
head or?
exactly. I mean, it was slippery out there, so maybe
Yeah,
he did.
dude, they didn't put the fucking tarp on. It was raining all day
I
long.
know,
They're just like, nah.
which is
I
crazy.
don't.
Like there were fumbled snaps a couple times from both teams, drop
Right.
balls everywhere. It was an ugly game. Just I think the weather played maybe a
Hmm.
little bit of a part in it. Um, Then I also saw 99% humidity when the game started. I was like,
Well,
oh,
that's miserable.
yeah, I would
Yeah,
not be
that
like, yeah,
sucks.
yeah, I'd rather get cut. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say, besides Kenny Pickett, Will Shipley and Kenny Gainwell actually look okay. Both of them.
Hmm.
Like,
I think Shipley takes more snaps as the season goes on. I think Kenny Gainwell starts as the second running back, but I think he's going to lose some time to Shipley.
I don't know, man. He looks a little bit better than he did last year. Even at this time of the year, like in the preseason, he looks a little
Right.
bit more explosive. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like looking at it. Again, it's preseason, but the Patriots are playing like a lot of their starting defensive players,
Yeah. And there
especially
was
when Gainwell was in.
yeah, and I've never been a Gainwell guy, so it's like I try to find good, but I'm not really impressed by him. Never was.
In regards to Dynasty, are there any of those two players you're willing to stash?
Who? What, out of game on Shipley?
Mhm.
Well, Shipley. I have Shipley on. I think which one? Or the league that you started. I think I have Shipley.
Okay.
So I'm just I'm waiting for him to be wide running back too.
Yeah, I
Hopefully.
have a couple. I have no Will Shipley just from not a lack of trying. It just never happened.
Hmm.
I
Right.
do have a few of Kenny Gainwell, just like late dart throws and like a year before draft or something like that.
Right.
Um, I mean, maybe first of all, Will Shipley probably could just be on your taxi squad unless
Hmm.
Saquon Barkley gets hurt. But
Yeah.
I don't see the Eagles really rotating the running back position much. Like I think
Hmm.
Saquon's going to get a majority of the carries, majority of the work. He's a pass catching back. I don't see that happening much.
Yeah.
You
Well,
want to get into
speaking of
more?
that,
Good.
yeah. How about a news that I don't know if you have down. Pretty big news, especially for fantasy football. Obviously, is Sleeper releasing that new rule.
Oh, the auto
The
sub? Yeah, I didn't put that down. That's
Yeah.
actually a good question or a good thing to bring up. I so basically what it is if you have a player who's questionable. First of all, I heard this on the Dynasty DNA. They're 100% right. What the fuck happened to probable? Like everybody's questionable now. Like there's no
Yeah.
such thing as probable anymore. Which it has bothered me for a while. Everybody's
Mhm.
questionable. We have no idea what's happening, and I think the England games have made things worse
Yeah.
because
I hate the England games.
I love them because like they're early, you could eat breakfast and watch the games, but like when it comes to injuries, like you're getting those notifications at 8 in the morning. Maybe you're
Yeah.
working, maybe you're still sleeping, maybe you work overnight. Like it kind of shitty. So I kind of like the auto subs for that.
Mhm.
Sleeper released that you can either add it to your league settings where you have uh, one sub as possible or three. So, say for instance, I don't know how it works exactly, but say for instance, Saquon is questionable, and you put Will Shipley as your sub in for him. Saquon doesn't play. Will Shipley now would take his spot on your roster, which I think is a great idea. Um, and I like the fact now they've added today. I don't know if you saw it. I sent it in the chat. Um, they added a feature now. You can another caveat to the um, setting is you can make it just players playing at the same time.
Okay.
So, say for instance, Saquon plays at 1. You
Hmm.
can't use anybody at a different time slot. It has to be another 1 o'clock player, which I think is another good idea.
Okay.
So,
See,
say
I'm
for
kind
instance,
of
good.
good. No, I'll let you finish
I like
your
it because,
thought.
like, so there's no issue of, say Saquon again plays it Sunday at 1 o'clock, and then somebody used a sub for somebody who played on Thursday.
Right.
But now, if you keep it at the same time slot, that kind of takes away that issue.
Hmm. Okay. So, my thoughts. You had put it to a poll, and I originally voted yes, and I was thinking about it and thinking about it, and then I had discussions with colleagues, and then voted no. My reasoning, because this makes a lot of sense, it takes the fucking like strategy out of fantasy football. I think it kind of sets it to like a set and forget kind of deal, and it's almost like a beginner. That sounds like a beginner's training wheels type thing. I think
Mhm.
some of the fun in it is like, fuck, is he playing? Is he not playing? You can also win and lose games by that. You know what I mean? Like if someone's like, okay, I'm going to set my lineup Monday, and then here's my subs, I don't have to look at it again.
Mhm.
So it's like I feel like it takes the strategy out of the game and like the chance of winning because of a fuck up, which I've been on both sides of it. It's like, oh man, he forgot to take him out, what an asshole. And it's like great because you win, but then I've been that asshole too. So it's like I feel like it just takes away from the game a little bit.
Like I don't disagree necessarily. I more or less like the fact that I have a backup plan if anything were to happen. Like you're about to obviously have another child, right? During
Yep.
the football season, right?
Week. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to be a pretty busy fucking guy coming soon. So
So I'll just set my lineup and pray, man. I'll just set it and pray.
I don't
Let's
know.
see. Hold on. I can tell you when it will be if all systems are go. Oh, dude, she'll be born on a Friday. It'll be good.
You don't have
The
to
C
worry
section.
about Thursday night. You'll be
No,
safe from Thursdays.
C section is scheduled for a Friday, November 8th. And if
Yes,
all goes to plan, we're
yeah,
good.
like I said, so Richard's about to have a kid, and he's going to be pretty pissed off when auto subs, or he's actually going to be pretty happy if that thing passes and Rich is able to have auto sub. Oh, thank God, I don't have to worry about it in the morning. All right, so let's get into some news, some more news. Thank you for bringing that up, by the way. I completely
Mhm.
forgot to add that. Big news is J.J. McCarthy out for the season, had some knee work done. Sam Darnold's going to start. They also signed Matt Corral about an hour ago.
Matt
Not
Corral, wasn't he like missing? Do you like
no,
remember dude, he was like missing. Like he was like a missing person, I'm pretty sure. Like when he was in New England, he like just disappeared.
no, that wasn't Matt Corral. I know who you're talking about.
Matt Corral,
Um,
is he from Ole Miss?
yeah, wasn't that Jimmy Graham too?
Jimmy Graham, I think.
They
Did he
found
run
him wandering or something like that.
something like that? But
Maybe
no, I
that's
think it
what it
was Matt
was.
Corral.
Maybe.
I looked that
But
up. But like,
he signed with them. And this is something we talked about back on the NFC North episode, I believe. You believe Sam Darnold is going to be the starter for this season before the J.J. McCarthy injury. And now
mhm.
it looks like that's definitely the case.
Yeah, I thought he was going to start at the beginning, and I thought he was going to start most of the season, if not the whole season, anyway.
Mhm.
So it's just the only thing changes is the injury, of course, which is unfortunate. You never want to see that
It
happen, and
is,
I feel
especially the
like it's like,
rookies.
dude, Minnesota's like eerily like haunted. I think I'll never forget like Teddy Bridgewater. Remember when Teddy Bridgewater was just like walking or something, and like in practice and like destroyed his knee?
Oh, yeah, I kind of
I
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like he was never the same because I thought he was going to be
I
Minnesota's
think
quarterback
Teddy,
for
yeah, I
years
always
and
thought
years
Teddy
and
was
years.
solid.
Yeah, and then who else did they lose this week?
Well, Jordan
Addison.
Addison, he's fine, it turns
How
out.
is he?
That's actually another thing. Speaking of the whole questionable, probable thing, whoever these fucking beat reporters are that are putting this person was taken by a cart, there
I
is
was
a
going to say
difference
that.
between getting a ride to the fucking
Yeah,
what you
and like
call it.
need and having to have it because you
Yeah,
like can't walk.
exactly. Can we start specifying what the fuck is
Yeah, I'm
happening
like,
here?
oh damn, he's out on the cart. He's done.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause that's the first thing that pops into my
Yeah,
head. But in regards to Sam Darnold in Dynasty, what are you doing? Are you buying? Are you selling? Or are you holding
for who?
Sam
Sorry.
Darnold?
Dude, I feel like I'm trying to take a different approach, especially with like redrafts coming up, which is obviously what I was more used to. Sam Darnold can get you probably like 20 points a game, and
Hmm.
there's no reason you can't get him late as shit in redrafts. And as far as like Dynasty, I don't know what I'd give up. Like if I'm contending, maybe like a third.
A second is probably
So
yeah. I mean, I would give up a third. I don't know if I would take a third, if that makes sense.
mhm,
I would be wanting a second, even if it's a late second. I would.
yeah,
That's been my thing. I've been throwing him out there like anywhere, just poker chips everywhere, throwing them, trying to
right,
trade them. Nobody's taken it, unfortunately, but I have seen him go for seconds in leagues. It's just is are people willing to pay that price for essentially a 1 year rental? Um, and do they think he's good enough to get it done? And I've seen a lot of people starting to question whether Justin Jefferson is the wide receiver one in redraft because of Sam Darnold. And I think that's just foolish. I think Justin
yeah.
Jefferson is the best receiver in football.
I'm
And
with you on that one.
if there is any discount in Dynasty to get him, like, if you had to give up an extra second in the multiple firsts you have to give up now,
Mhm.
I would jump on that as soon as possible. If there's any
Yeah,
kind of discount on Justin Jefferson, go out and see if you can get him.
yeah,
100%.
right.
Um, Speaking of Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase sits out practice for a new contract on Tuesday. What do you think about that?
It's just like a never-ending story in Cincinnati, and we'll get to that when I get to my
Oh, yeah.
doghouse and dog tags. But it's just like the never-ending story. There, I don't know what it is. If they're like in cap hell or like they just pay,
They do
like
spend a
they,
lot of money.
yeah. But it's like, oh, I mean, it rightfully so, I guess, on offensive linemen. But it's like, what? I mean, now you got to pay two wide receivers. You got two disgruntled wide receivers. That's insane.
Mm.
That sucks.
Yeah, and that couldn't be us.
No, that's my time for my guy to shine. Andre, whatever his last
Yoshivas.
name, with a I.
Yoshivas.
He's been
Yeah.
sitting on my bench.
Yeah, that is big. For I think they're going to figure it out. Reports are that they are going to try to get it done soon. It's just CeeDee Lamb still wants to get paid, and the next thing I was going to bring up is the 49ers. John Lynch says they feel urgency to get a deal done with Brandon Ayuk, and I cannot wait for this saga to be over.
Hmm.
It's gone on for too long.
It's
It
super annoying,
was
dude.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk requested a trade, and then that was all rebuked or rebutted or whatever the hell you want to call it. Then he had the FaceTime with Jaden Daniels, and all that started
Hmm.
speculating on if he was going to go to Washington. That was even like right after the draft. We're going back to April at this
Hmm.
point. And then there's like the Raiders conversation and the Pittsburgh conversation and the New England Patriots. First of all, we didn't get to talk about this last week because you weren't here. He turned down a trade to New England. I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah, I did
Um,
see that. Dude, they were offering him like 33 million.
Yeah, and he turned it down because he didn't want to go there.
I read that he didn't like the quarterback situation there.
I don't know if that. I mean, I don't know. Who
Which I
knows
mean,
what?
who knows?
But I mean, I would. It's hard to say if he wants to win. Obviously, going to New England right away. Obviously, going to
Hmm.
New England is not the best case scenario. But they're a team that's going to be building. They're a team that was giving you the most money. Maybe they're relevant in 2 to 3 years. Who knows? Uh, I, I mean, I don't think that was a bad deal for him to go there.
I see. We look at guys that are like, oh, he's only going there for the money. He's going there for the money.
Yeah.
But now when he doesn't go there and they offer them the most money, he's like, we look at him differently. I think it's a good
Well,
move. Like if he didn't want to play there because he thinks they stink, whatever. He thinks they
so
stink.
I think there's a difference in him going to a team that stinks that has no general direction,
Hmm.
but like they just drafted a quarterback at 3. Like
Hmm.
I think that's a little bit different than going to like say if New Orleans offered him that money. Like New Orleans is
Hmm.
dead in the water. They have no money. They have no like future plans. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like that would have been different. But to me, he would have been part of a team going forward. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Like he would have just gone to New Orleans just to play football and get paid.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
obviously, staying in San Francisco, it's different. He's winning and getting paid. In New England, he'd just be getting paid and maybe building. So I think that's just a little different that way.
Right.
Um, Speaking of the Saints, Derek Carr says the Saints are 10 times further ahead than they were last year as in regards to chemistry. I don't believe that. Everything I've heard out of Saints camp is a goddamn train wreck. Um, it's
I
never
heard that.
positive.
I heard they liked Spencer Rattler a
I've heard
lot.
that too. And then I seen a clip where there was like, Chris Olave, what's been your favorite play in camp so far? And he was like, I don't like. He couldn't think of anything. I'm like, come on, there had to have been one.
Right.
So that didn't look good. And like their coach just seems like a jerk. Like he's just throwing players under the bus all the time. It
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
like
He's not good.
he's just seemed like I get it being like upfront and like with people in regards to like
Hmm.
injuries and player performances and stuff like that. But some things you should just maybe keep in house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Kendre Miller, their third round pick from last year. He's like needs to stay healthy if he wants to make the team. He was
Jesus
like
Christ.
he's like A.T. Perry. He's not where we want him to be. Like okay, you could word that a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a
Um,
douche.
yeah, Deontay Johnson relishing his return to wide receiver 1 in Carolina. I think Deontay is a very nice, cheap purchase in Dynasty and in redraft.
Hmm.
I think he's going to be very solid for Bryce Young
Hopefully.
in Carolina. I know that's your
Hopefully
guy.
Bryson. Yeah. Hopefully he turns it the hell around.
I think he will. And I think they're starting to build a little bit of a better culture and a better surrounding pieces for him
Yeah.
in Carolina. So
Well,
we'll
they drafted
see.
around him, so.
And that's the biggest thing. And they've got
Hmm.
some they got him Thielen. Well, Thielen was last year, but Deontay Johnson is a guy who just gets open, but he has to stay healthy and hold on to the ball. Speaking of
Hmm.
staying healthy, Hollywood Brown may miss multiple weeks with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, I read
Again,
five
this
to
is just
six.
yeah. I mean, I've heard that. I've heard he may play week 1. It's not ruled out, but
Hmm.
I don't know. he's just like, it was exciting for him to go to Kansas City, but this is kind of like the tale as old as time with Hollywood Brown.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Jameer Gibbs hamstring injury. People are starting to panic on that one.
Yeah, you should panic and trade him if you have him.
No, I would not be doing that. Uh, Again, so allegedly he had the same hamstring injury last year, and that's why people are freaking out. And again, he's a guy who's quick, twitchy, so these kind of things can be a little bit of a hang up, obviously. But he's super talented. We know for a fact guys like him, Devon Achane, players like that who are super explosive are not going to be the guys that are carrying the load in a running back room, right? They're going to get 15 carries and like 10 catches or some shit like that. You know what I mean? It's going to be different than like a David Montgomery who's going to get like 15 carries and that's it, but like for 60 yards or some shit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I think actually this is a nice little time to buy David Montgomery, to be honest with you. Just cheap. And he's a guy who's going to pound it into the end zone for you more likely than not.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not really worried about Gibbs. What?
I said you would think.
Yeah. All right, so since I started us off with the Dynasty Dog Duel, why don't you start us off with the Dog Tags and Doghouse AFC North section episode, whatever. And I will ask you this before we get started, because I always happen to do this last. Who wins this division and why?
Who wins the division? Cincinnati.
Yeah. For me, it's either Cincinnati or Baltimore.
Yeah. You could go either way. I think Cincinnati's a little bit better. If they have their whole team out there.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I think the Baltimore defense is better than the Cincinnati defense. Pretty heavily.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And I think they're a better coach team in Baltimore with Harbaugh, obviously. I don't think you can get it much better than Harbaugh.
Right. He's like the classic.
Yeah.
He's a mainstay. He's always been good. He's never done anything really shitty.
And then you got to compare the offenses. It's Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. Both guys who've had some injury concerns, obviously. But Lamar's a more explosive player. More of a difference maker than obviously Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow is the better prototypical NFL quarterback with better offensive weapons, for sure. Mm-hmm. But then you have the running back in Derrick Henry now at Baltimore.
I'm kind of wait and see on Derrick Henry in Baltimore. I want to see what happens.
Yeah,
because I know, dude, they ran the shit out of him in Tennessee, dude.
Yeah, but the thing is, he doesn't really have to be beat into the ground now with Lamar there.
Yeah, he could be fresh legs.
Hopefully. So you take Cincinnati. I'm going to take Baltimore. I do think those two teams are close. Any hope for maybe Pittsburgh or Cleveland making dark horse wild card teams? And because they always seem to be hanging around.
Maybe Pittsburgh, maybe Cleveland. I don't think has a shot in hell.
No, I think Deshaun Watson is washed.
Yep, don't give it away now.
Sorry. All right, so you go first. You could start with whoever you want to go with.
All right, I'll start with Cincinnati, and I'm going to go with the Doghouse first. Let's start with the negative Nancy's here. And unfortunately, that's Mr. T. Higgins found his way into the Doghouse. And it's not for any of really his physical abilities or any, his ADP or anything like that. I think it's not performance-based. We know he's looking for a payday. And that can go one of two ways. That could go him going out there and balling out and, being fantastic. Or it could go out there and he could be, I'm not going to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt and not really put it out there and not really give the full effort. Or he could go out there, ball out, and get injured. So it's like, kind of, what are we getting here? Are we getting the guy who's going to ball out and go crazy and score, or are we going to get the guy who's like playing a little reserved? They already have the film on me. I'm going to get paid regardless. What are we going to get? And I think he makes his way, shoots right out of the Doghouse as soon as he gets either traded or a new deal. If he gets a new deal by the start of the season, this is null and void. or if he gets traded, it's null and void. But it's only based off of like my skepticism of like, oh, I don't know if he's going to be reserved or ball out and get hurt or ball out, and it's a toss up.
So
So
this is
that's
like
why
a
he made his way
year.
there.
This is a this year thing, more or less.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I
yeah. It
could
has
agree
to
with
be.
that. There's a little bit of fear there. Um, but then again, maybe he goes and just balls out. Like maybe this team is what it was the Super Bowl year, and he is a major part of it. Who knows? So
Yeah.
that I do agree with a little bit of the questions around him. Um, my thing is for win now teams, if you're going to move off of him, I would just to be on the safer side. And if you're a rebuilding team, I would go up and scoop him now while you can.
Well, then that begs the question: What are you trading him for? Because you have him, and I'm rebuilding. So what would you like? I'll give you a third right now. I'll
No, it
send
would
it.
have to be a
I'll send
first.
it. Oh God, you and your firsts.
No, he's because he's worth. That's exactly what he's worth.
You and your first. Everyone's worth a first to you.
No, he's worth. He would be worth a first.
Yeah. I think he's got to go. Like, where do you see him playing? Like, trying to think. Like,
Actually, believe it or not, like in division, Baltimore would be perfect.
yeah, they don't have anyone down there.
Well,
Zay
Zay
Flowers, but
Flowers, I think he's very good, and Mark Andrews is just steady
well,
Eddie. But
yeah,
like that tandem, the three of them together would be very interesting. Um,
Seattle.
that they well, if
Tyler
Lockett be
Lockett's
well,
like 1,000 years old.
the three of them would be good. I think he would be a better 1A, 1B than like a third, like, big name wide receiver
Mm-hmm.
name like him, DK and JSN. Like, I feel like him,
Tennessee.
Tennessee would be great.
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins probably cooked or
Mm-hmm.
not cooked. Well, he's hurt now, but this might be his last hurrah.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin Ridley, who knows? Traylon Burks, again, making noise in training
Your
camp. I'm
boy.
trying to block it out, trying to block it out, trying to block it out. Um, I don't know. Like, there are a bunch of places he could go. New York, which I don't fucking hope happens.
What? Which New York
The Giants
Giants? Oh yeah,
or
Falcons.
Jets, both.
No, don't want that.
I mean, that would be good for fantasy purposes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I mean, he's got a plethora of options. He's a young, talented wide receiver. It just remains to be seen. And I do agree with the skepticism for this year and why he's in your doghouse. Who's your dog tag?
All right. So I put in Chase Brown as my dog tag. He's
I like
going
that one.
ADP 137. Going around Zach Charbonnet, Devin Singletary, and Austin Eckler. Charbonnet 133, Singletary's 132, and Eckler's 134. Um, I feel like he just has a chance to really start. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, get distracted. I've been high on him since he came out of Illinois. Has a high motor, big guy, 5'11", 211. So I think he kind of edges out Zach Moss a little bit. They have him listed as a starter. I don't really see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
2 year, what is he on? 2 year, $8 million deal. So nothing
Something
really
like that.
insane.
Yeah. Something not.
Um,
Yeah.
I just think he has a chance to kind of weasel his way in there and get more and more reps. And he's been having a lot with the first team in practice. So I guess we'll
Okay.
see. But he's a guy that I also have on my bench, just waiting to kind of get in there. I have like 500 young running backs. So it's like he's one of them. So a part of me is like, I hope he gets in there.
Yeah.
But I can see it happening.
No, I can see it happening too. Um, Zach Moss is a guy who we've been waiting for to be that guy since
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, since his rookie year. It just never really happened, but he showed spurts. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. He'll show it, and then like all of a sudden he'll just be like nothing. And
Yeah,
then
I thought he was going to be something in Buffalo, but never really panned out.
yeah, it was him and Devin Singletary, and I
Mm-hmm.
personally thought he was better than Devin Singletary, but
Same.
it just never really happened. And then he got his opportunity in Indianapolis when Taylor was holding out or hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He looked good, and then he was just cast away.
Right.
So I don't know what to make of him. I'm not the biggest Chase Brown believer either, but I do think there is a role for him.
Yeah.
And I do think if there's anybody he could beat out at this point, it's Zach Moss because
And right, you got to think not a lot of guys get 3 chances to be number one running back, and that's what really Zach Moss. So he's got to be on a really short leash.
Mhm.
Like you said, from Buffalo to Indianapolis, and now here or there in Cincinnati. He started when Jonathan Taylor was having his issues, but not really. You don't really get a chance 3 times, so we'll see. I feel like he's on a really, really, really short leash.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with him and what happens with the Bengals running back rotation. Bengals offense in whole has like a lot of like really good pieces and then question marks everywhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they just lost. What's his name? Evans. What's his first
Oh
name?
yeah, Chris Evans. Yeah,
Chris Evans. I was going to say Chris Evans, but then
you thought
that
the
ain't
actor?
is that Captain America? They're the same name.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, I didn't
yeah.
want to
They
be
have the
like,
same
oh,
name.
that's him. And then you'd be like, oh, you idiot. No, yeah, they just lost him. So now it's down to what, 2 guys?
I think they have a third, but I can't remember off the top of my head who it would be. I can look it up if you'd like. So hold on one second. It is Cincinnati Bengals running back. I know there's a third guy. I can't think of who it is right now.
I thought it was them
It,
3.
oh no, Travion Williams.
Okay.
And then the Chris Evans, who's now obviously I think he's done for the season if I remember correctly. But yeah, very questionable running back room. But if you're gonna get one of the two main guys in Zach Moss or Chase Brown, I would just rather take a gamble on Brown. He's probably cheaper in Dynasty, in my
Oh yeah.
opinion. And he's younger and he's a better pass catching option than Zach Moss because I think that's what he definitely shines in is his
Mhm.
passing ability. I don't really believe in him as a running back because I think he has the contact balance of a child because he just gets pushed around a little too easily for me. But again, that's just me nitpicking, and who knows what could happen with that room. All right, so I will go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I
Okay.
will go with my dog tag first. Richard, who is it?
I don't know, dude. I have no idea who could it possibly be. For the 80th year in a row, it feels like George Pickens.
Wrong. It's Najee Harris.
Oh
At
wow.
102 ADP,
So,
102.7.
you set me up, you son of a
Yeah, you
bitch.
did. I did. I knew. God, I knew exactly what
you
you thought
you
I would.
son of a gun.
Sheamus. But yes, it'll be Najee Harris at a ADP of 102.7, going behind guys like Zamir White, who I would take Najee over Zamir White. And I know you're a guy who believes in Zamir White, but
hmm
I have much higher faith in Najee, especially in the Pittsburgh offense. And then a guy like David Montgomery, who that one to me is more of a toss up.
hmm
I don't know. I think I would prefer Najee because I feel like there's more of a long term asset in Najee, even though they declined his 5th-year option. He might go somewhere else and be a starter. I
Yeah.
think David Montgomery is just a backup at this point in his career. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But a very like a backup, but like a very solid 2, like not like a guy just to be thrown to the wayside. But
Right.
he was running back finish at 23 last year, which was solid. And the thing is with Najee is, his first 2 years he was, very heavily involved in the passing game, very heavily involved in college in the passing game. And then all of a
hmm
sudden last year, nothing in
Yeah.
regards to receptions, which I think is a massive blow to his value. But if they start to use him more in the passing game, he could be, a top, I wouldn't say 12. I think he'd be more in the 15 to 17 range. And I think that's a very safe spot for him, especially with
hmm
the running ability that he has and the ability to get those 4 yards in a cloud of dust type of guy.
Yeah.
They improved their O line. PFF has the Pittsburgh Steelers as the 9th-ranked offensive line in football right now, which is great. That's a team that really needed offensive line help, and they've boosted it. They brought in Arthur Smith as their new offensive coordinator. I actually think that's solid for Najee
Ugh.
because it is a guy who likes to run the football. Yes, he will. Uh, I wouldn't say share time with Jalen Warren, but Jalen Warren's going to get his snaps. But I think Najee's going to be the guy who gets the bulk of the carries,
You think
and I
so?
do think he's going to be. Yeah, I do, and I do think they're going to involve him more in the pass catching because that is something. First of all, Pittsburgh doesn't have really anybody besides Freiermuth and George Pickens as pass catchers. So somebody besides Jalen
Mhm.
Warren has to fucking help out in that. So
Well,
why not Najee Harris? Because he's shown he can do it. It's just they haven't. I don't understand what it is.
my thought would be is why would they do that? They declined his option, right? So why would they decline it? Give him the ball a fuck ton, and then him be like, "Well, look at my numbers," and have to pay him way more than what his numbers were in the fifth year option. You know what I mean?
Because they're also still trying to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're not going to just shy away from him because they don't want to pay him. I mean, I don't see Mike Tomlin doing anything like that. Like Mike Tomlin, very good football coach. Like they've been obviously a 500 team for the past couple of years, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Mike Tomlin's going to get it done. I think Najee is the one in that backfield, and relatively cheap, especially. I've seen trades Hollywood Brown for Najee straight up. Who would you rather have?
Well, now that he's injured, Najee.
I mean, who would you have taken? Let's say he was healthy.
Probably Harris.
Okay. Najee and a third for Tony Pollard. That's Najee and a third for me on that side. I'd rather have that side.
I guess I'd be more intrigued by the third. I think Tony Pollard's better.
No, you get the third and Najee.
I know, but the
Oh.
third is like okay. The third would put it over, but if that was straight up, I think Pollard's better.
I don't know if I agree with you on that one. I think
Sorry, man.
Tony Pollard had the opportunity to be.
I gotta look at numbers.
Tony Pollard had the opportunity to be like the guy in Dallas and could not get it done for the life of him.
Yeah.
With one of the best offensive lines in football. But I digress.
Had 1,000 yards last year.
Who, Najee or Pollard?
Pollard.
So did Najee.
Let's see.
He did. I know he did because I looked it up. He's been 1,000-yard rusher for like
I
ever.
don't, can you spell his damn name for me?
Nagee. Yeah. It's really not that hard of a name to spell.
Just gotta sound it out. Okay, he had like fucking 28 more yards than him.
Okay. So
in 3 more attempts. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I would still take Najee in that deal. The only other one that I would take opposite of Najee was Jaden Reed for Najee straight up. I would take Jaden Reed in that one. But
okay.
The next one, my doghouse, is going to be wide receiver Roman Wilson. His ADP is 146. Again, he is a late second, early third round pick in your rookie drafts. I didn't really like the talent on film. I wasn't a big fan. He was a third round pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the crazy thing is like if anybody could develop him, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of betting against it, which is kind of crazy. But he's going ahead of a guy like Khalil Shakir, and
who you love,
who I do love, and I do think is in a perfect situation. I would take Khalil Shakir over him every single time, to be honest with you.
Okay. He has a big opportunity this year.
Both of them do.
Yeah, I'd say Shakir more than Wilson, but I think I would probably go Shakir.
Yeah, I would too. And the fear with him right now, especially for this year, is that he missed most of training camp with an injury. He should be back within the next week or two, I believe I read. But, you know, your first year, your first training camp is very detrimental. Like, you need to be, prepared and ready, especially in a Mike Tomlin team. He was my wide receiver 17 in regards to a dog score. I gave him a full 7. Some of the things I did like, he was a good route runner. He had very solid hands. The things I didn't like were his running after catchability. And I do think that has to do with his slim frame, his small catch radius. He has a tendency to kind of get bullied off of his routes by more physical corners. So that was something I didn't really like. But we'll see. He has like a major opportunity. My thing is, I don't see him as a wide receiver 2 on a football team. And right now he is. I would see him more as like the third option. Like if he was a Philadelphia Eagle and he was alongside, Devontae and A.J. Brown, or he went to Miami and he was behind, with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, he actually would be a nice piece because he's just somebody who would eat up in the slot.
Doesn't
you
have to
know,
take the pressure of
being the number two.
Mhm.
I'm not sure he can be that guy. But again, I'm betting against the Pittsburgh Steelers in developing wide receivers. So
Mhm.
take that with a
Right,
grain of salt, I guess. I just
right.
wasn't a big fan. Um, some trades I have of him is Roman Wilson and a second for DeAndre Swift. And you and I are both not big Swift guys, but I do think I would take DeAndre in that.
Not a Swifty.
No,
Yeah.
would you take Swift there?
Um.
I guess it also depends on which direction you're going.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think maybe. That'd be a toss up. That'd be a toss up for me.
All right. Well, get into your Cleveland Browns here, since I gave you the task of being the Cincinnati or the Cleveland guy or
You give me
Ohio
the
guy. Jesus
Mister
Christ.
Mister Ohio,
Yeah.
friggin' Drew
You might as well
Carey
just.
over
I was gonna say you might as well. Ohio.
here. All right. So, what do you want? The house or the tag first?
I went tag first. You went house first last time. So
So
go
then let's
go
switch.
house
I'll go
again.
house again.
Oh, go tag
All right.
first.
Which one? Pick one, you indecisive son of a bitch. Son of a
You're,
bitch.
so, you're talking to me. It's your picks.
All right, I'll go Doghouse again. Screw Deshaun Watson, that creepy little pervert. His ADP's at 95, dude. Going around guys like Mr. Stable, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield at 90, and Bo Nix at 99. I could not be more out on this guy. Besides being a weirdo pervert, he stinks. He was a 1 year wonder type quarterback that worked his way into getting traded and then a huge payday. And then he picks and chooses when he plays. Like last year, he was just like,
Right.
like he
The
wasn't
shoulder
hurt, but he
injury.
kind of
Yeah.
was, but like he
Yeah.
wasn't. I just wrote he stinks 1,000 times. When he's out there, he stinks. I would take anything for this guy to get him off my team. I thought in Houston they had a guy like I thought he was legit, but it was just 1 year, dude. Um, it's just a nightmare for Cleveland, I think. And I'm getting like Vietnam flashbacks of Carson Wentz with that contract they got out there. They have no choice
It's worse
but to
than that
play him.
though.
Yeah,
It's kind
dude.
of worse.
If they cut him, it's going to be probably terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he just doesn't have it, dude. And I think they're wasting the talent that they have in Cleveland because they have a talented team with this turd. He stinks.
Right.
Play
Um,
Jameis.
I was on I did a thing with Wiz from the Dynasty DNA a couple days ago, and we talked about Deshaun Watson a little bit for a while. And honestly, I agree with you. I take everything off the field, away.
Mhm.
He hasn't been football relevant in 5 years. Like
No,
he
since
had,
he was in Houston.
yeah, exactly. I don't understand. Like the people think he's going to bounce back. Like what has he shown you that you think
Right,
he's going to do that?
right.
Um, Again, the shoulder injury apparently is still bothering him. That what I was reading in camp. Um, the other crazy thing is, and people forget, they brought in Jameis Winston,
Mhm.
who's a solid backup who could start. They brought in Tyler Huntley, former backup quarterback for the
Pro
Baltimore
Bowler for
Pro
the
Bowler, exactly.
yeah.
And they have Dorian Thompson Robinson. If they brought in two backup quarterbacks, like that makes me think they have some questions about Deshaun Watson.
Right. And I think if it wasn't for the contract, honestly, any of those four guys or any of those three guys could put up a stiff competition for
At
starting.
least two of them.
Ever.
At least
Yeah.
two of them. I think
People
Jameis Winston gets a shit deal, but like I think
yeah.
he's probably better at Deshaun Watson at this point.
Mhm.
You mentioned Bo Nix earlier, and it was something Wiz and I actually talked about too. Would you rather have Bo or Deshaun Watson? This one was a
I
close one for me because I'm not the biggest Bo guy, but
I'm not either, but I think Bo has way more upside than Sean Watson does.
especially
I'm
in that Sean Payton offense too. Yeah,
yeah, and I personally think Zach Wilson's going to start. I'm rooting for him so bad, dude. Dude, he's been
um,
looking good. But he has more promise than Deshaun Watson. I feel like by now we know what he is, and we've seen
right.
what he is.
Well, we haven't seen it. Is the thing is like we haven't seen the good Deshaun Watson in multiple years.
Right. Well,
Uh,
we've seen one good and four bad, so I think he's bad. You know.
yeah. The other one was Michael Penix or Deshaun Watson, and for me, that's Penix. every single time.
It's the same thing as Bo Nix for me. It has more promise. I mean, even if Bo Nix doesn't
I
play
would
for
rather
4 years.
exactly.
Or, I
I'd
mean,
rather wait for
Penix.
Penix. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
wait for 5 years. Like I'd rather just wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also like Michael Penix a lot. We talked that up.
Mm-hmm.
Go into your next one.
All right. So my guy, coming off an absolutely horrific, disgusting, make me want to throw up leg injury, and that's Mr. Nicholas Chubb. He's getting my dog tag. This
I
guy
know
has
it's a
been
theme that it's guys on your roster.
It is, dude. I noticed that after I typed all this up, I'm like, oh wait, this is every guy I have getting the tag. But he's just a guy who's been, dude. He's been such a fantasy like stable, solid. Like if you could think of a guy that is like Jared Goff or like Kirk Cousins, but like in a running back, it's Nick Chubb. He's never had a down season besides getting hurt in fantasy since coming into the league, and I think with that, you're getting a solid guy when he comes back. The only downfall of him is he might not be ready for opening day. Although I did see a video of him squatting 600 pounds.
I was
so it's
just
like
about to say that. Like
super confusing. But that'd be the only thing. But he may not be ready for the beginning of the season, but he'll be ready for the playoffs when you need him.
Yeah.
And
he has been the most dependable running back up until last year, which is crazy because it feels like they've run him into the ground.
Yeah.
And he just is very consistent. I agree with you. He is a very cheap buy at this point, especially I would get him now before he is active again. I think Nick Chubb could still be, fantasy relevant for at least another year or two.
Yeah. I didn't read his ADP is 119. He's going around Blake Corum at 114, James Conner at 121, and Zach Moss at 125. So he's going around guys like that. Mm-hmm. But
just depends on your direction on your team.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's been so solid since he's been coming into the league, and the only thing is that injury.
Yeah, and they have a really good offensive line, too, in Cleveland. I do think Nick Chubb could bounce back. Maybe not maybe not a top 10 guy like he once was, but if he's 12 through 15, it wouldn't. Well, depends on how many weeks he misses. But
I think even if he misses like 3 weeks,
he still
you get
be
him
a 15
later.
to 17 guy. Yeah, I think so too. I really like Nick Chubb. He's honestly one of the, I wouldn't say underrated because he's just been so good for so long, but he's one of the most underappreciated, I guess, is the word, running backs in football.
I agree with that.
Of course, the 1 year I finally got him in fantasy, he got hurt. But, I'll never do that again because I don't want to do it. All right, so I will go into my dog tag for the Baltimore Ravens. Richard, who do you think I picked?
Baltimore Ravens, Rowena Ravenclaw.
No, it is Mark Andrews, tight end.
Oh, there you go. That was my second guess.
He is 58.8 ADP, tight end 7. Tight end 7 in startup drafts. That's insane to me. Yeah. I've seen him in a lot of in rankings. Like I just happened to go through the people's rankings today just to see where people had him, like consensus. I saw one where he was in the top 3, and everything else he was either 5 or 6. To me, he's closer to 3 than he is 6, in my opinion.
Yeah, who are 3 more better than him?
Who
do they have?
I don't know. Well, it was Laporta, it was McBride, it was Kyle Pitts. But let me get into why I think like Mark Andrews. First of all, like I was just saying, tight end 7, major value in Dynasty right now. Major value in fantasy. The dude finished as a tight end 15 after he missed 7 games last year. From weeks 2 through 10, the weeks he played, he was tight end 3 overall. He was the third best tight end in fantasy football for the 8 weeks that he played, and he still finished in the top 15, which is insane.
Yeah.
4 years straight before that, he was no worse than tight end 6 in fantasy. So every single year, he was either in the top 3, or the worst finish he had was 6 before his rookie year, obviously. But his second year on, 6 better than 6, which is fantasy gold when you have a guy at your tight end position who is just super consistent, and you can get no more consistent essentially than a guy like Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, right? Because we've seen them do it for multiple years at a time. Like I just mentioned, 4 years of being better than a tight end 6, other than last year, because he had that hip drop tackle injury.
Yeah.
And the thing with tight ends is a lot of them who score highly are, getting a lot of touchdowns, not a lot of receptions. Or getting a lot of receptions, not a lot of
Not a lot
touchdowns.
of touchdowns.
Mark Andrews is literally like the same receptions,
Yeah.
touchdowns. Like there's no room for TD regression. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
say, for instance, one year he had 10. Well, guess what? Next year he's going to have 8. It's not
Yeah.
really going to fall off that much.
Right.
So Mark Andrews, to me, is a major buy. I would not be shocked again this year if he finishes in the top 5 again. And if he's the
I agree with
7th
that.
tight end off the board in fantasy, that's still a value.
Yeah.
I've seen some trades. This is an interesting one, and I think you could actually go either way on this one. I don't know if this is tight end premium or not, so I might go the other way. But it was DJ Moore and Pat Fryermuth for Mark Andrews in a second.
I'm taking DJ Moore.
Yeah,
100%,
that's a tough one. It's a tough one. If it was tight end premium, I'd probably go the other way. Just because I know Andrews is going to be a top 5 guy. So
right.
That one's the toughest one. And then the next one is Hawkinson and a third for Andrews. Honestly, I would take Andrews still, even though I think Hawkinson's very... Yeah, I would. I mean, Hawkinson's coming off an ACL injury.
That's true. I'd still go Hawkinson. Because,
Really?
Yeah.
All right, Joe Mixon and Kmet for Mark Andrews.
No, I'm keeping Andrews.
Yeah, me too. So, again, you're getting him at a decent value. He's going to be, again, I would believe no worse than 6, but I believe top 5 is in his fantasy future in regards to tight ends. They didn't really, like, Zay Flowers and him are the main targets. And the only reason Zay Flowers had the most targets and receptions last year is because Mark Andrews missed 7 games or whatever it was. So, again, you can't get more consistent than Mark Andrews. If Mark Andrews is valuable and you can get him cheap, do it immediately. He's a guy that can win you your weeks, obviously. And he's a guy who's just going to be super consistent. Travis Kelce's 34, right?
Yeah, I think so. Something around there.
Andrews is going to be turning 29. So at least I would say at the worst 3 years left of Mark Andrews being relevant. Because that tight ends obviously last longer because they don't break out as early as everybody else.
Yeah. So
I think Mark Andrews is an extreme buy.
What did you say? He's 7? That just blows my mind.
Who do you look? This is an interesting one to me, and like I don't know if this is a hot take. By the way, in 2 weeks we're going to be doing a hot take episode, so I don't know if this is a hot take to you or not. So you ready for this one? Mark Andrews scores more points than Trey McBride this year. Would you say that's a hot take?
No,
I don't think so either. I think he does too, but I think people would scoff at that because a lot of people like Trey McBride, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But Trey McBride is Marvin Harrison Jr. now. He's not the only fish in the pond anymore.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I would be.
And Mark
shocked.
Andrews has a way better track record.
Yeah, well, a safer track record.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me, but I do think people would think that's a hot take.
Nah,
I would have to look into that.
I'm not one of them.
My Doghouse, and again, this dude's going at an ADP of 199.7, so he really is a dart throw at this point. It's Rashad Bateman.
Okay.
Again, he's getting some hype in camp because he got paid this offseason. He's a former first-round pick, but like, when do we kind of say, like, all right, maybe he really isn't like that guy? You know what I mean? He's going around guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, and I put a poll out earlier, and Bateman's winning it. I was like, who is the better dynasty dart throw? To me, it's Wan'Dale. And that might be crazy, but I think Wan'Dale would be a very solid complement to Malik Neighbors. But I don't know what Rashad Bateman is on a team that, first of all, doesn't throw the ball that much with Lamar and has Derrick Henry now, and that has Mark Andrews and has Zay Flowers. Where's Bateman in that? Like, he's like the 5th or 6th option at that point.
Yeah, and he's a guy, and at least last year in redraft, I know for a fact he was a free agent pickup mid-season.
Yeah, he was wide receiver 88 finish last year. He's going around guys again like Brandon Cooks, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Rico Dwaddle. To be honest with you, I would take every single one of those dart throws over Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
Again, he's super cheap, but like there's guys around him that I would rather have. He stayed healthy last year, but that's kind of been his calling card, as he hasn't really stayed healthy the 2 years prior. And again, he's the third pass target on a run-heavy team. And that run-heavy team has two guys that are going to run the ball on Lamar and Derrick Henry. So, like, he's like I said, the fifth or sixth option. So,
Right.
I'd rather take my shots elsewhere. If you can get like a third for him, to be honest, I would probably do it. Just kind of like, spin the wheel on somebody else.
Yeah. You can get a wide receiver in a third who's younger and be just the same dart throw.
Yeah, and not only that, he's also going around a guy who's another dart throw who's on the same team, who they kind of brought in to be a very similar guy, and that's Tez Walker.
Oh yeah.
I think I'd rather roll the dice on Tez Walker.
Watkins?
Tez Walker. The North Carolina wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
Devontae Walker.
I thought his name was Watkins. My bad.
No, Walker. But yeah, I think I'd rather take the gamble on him to be that deep threat that they have been hoping Bateman is going to be, and it just hasn't happened. Again, ADP of 199, so he's cheap, but there's guys around him I'd rather take a gamble on. If you could trade him for a win now piece in Brandon Cooks, I'd do that. Brandon Cooks is the second best wide receiver on that team, surprisingly enough, in Dallas. And if you could, again, I'm getting smashed in that poll right now between Wan'Dale and Rashad Bateman, but I would rather take Wan'Dale 100 times out of 100 over Bateman at this point.
I just like to say Wan'Dale. That's why I would take him. That's my buddy Wan'Dale.
All right, so that is it for the Baltimore Ravens. We have just now wrapped up the AFC North. Next week, again, we are going to be doing the NFC East, our Philadelphia Eagles division. That should be an interesting one because we're trying to be as friendly and bipartisan as possible. But no, I'm kidding. It's fun to talk about the other teams in the division because I think there are some valuable dynasty pieces still in the division.
Yeah.
You got to talk about the Eagles last year, so I'm taking them this year.
I was going to say, you can take the Eagles this year. I don't want that job.
You don't want to be the bearer of bad news or the guy who jinx it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll be it for this episode. Again, next week we'll be doing the NFC North or NFC East. 2 weeks we're going to be doing our hot takes episode, so be on the lookout for that. Again, I'm your host, Michael Anthony. You can find me on X at Dynasty Dog Mike, and you can find my friend, my co-host, my best pal in the world, Rich McAteer at Dynasty Dog Rich on X. Make sure you follow us. We are going to be starting another new podcast. If you guys are going to be into wrestling or Philadelphia sports news and stuff like that, we're still figuring out the name for that right now. We're working through some things, so be on the lookout for that. Again, this is Mike Anthony for the Dynasty Dog Podcast, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Peace.